Happy Monday, my friends. This is a big week astrologically. This is one where the theme that has been emerging for this year is really coming to the forefront, and that is the theme of becoming. It's one that you've probably seen being used on social media. It may be a word that's been coming up for you. You've probably heard me use it. This is very much our time to intentionally, deliberately, wholeheartedly embrace who we are becoming. That's what this week is all about. We have an eclipse happening tomorrow in Aquarius, so on Tuesday the 17th. And its energy is very intricately woven into this other story that's also happening right now of Saturn and Neptune going into Aries. There's so much going on with this. So I'm actually going to break this up into two episodes. We've got this episode today. I'm focusing on the eclipse. And then Wednesday, I'm going to release another episode that focuses on Saturn and Neptune coming together in Aries, which is happening on Friday the 20th. So two really significant things. I'll tell you really quick why they're significant, just from like a numbers perspective for those who like numbers. One is that eclipses, we have eclipses several times a year. That's not, rare, but they happen on the north and south nodes, and the nodes are changing every couple of years. So it's been quite a while since we've had an eclipse in Aquarius, a couple of decades. And now we're having this, once in several decades eclipse happening in Aquarius. And then we also have Saturn and Neptune coming together. They only come together at the exact same degree about every 36 years. So two things that happen only a few times within each of our lifetimes are happening this week. That is just, if you're a data person, that is data that I think is helpful for understanding why I'm talking about this as being a really, really big week astrologically. So eclipses, like I said, they're not necessarily rare, but they are significant. They usually serve as a kind of shake-up point. Whatever's been going on in our lives, the eclipses are going to come and shake things up. It's not always in a bad way. It can feel chaotic. It can feel a little mischievous. It can be really challenging energy. I have kind of learned that I don't plan a lot during eclipse season. So we typically have 2, sometimes 3 eclipses that will happen back to back at the new and full moons. We're going to have 2 during this season. We have the eclipse happening on Tuesday, and then we'll have one again in a couple of weeks at the full moon. Then we'll be out of eclipse season. But during eclipse season, I don't plan a lot because, one, it's chaotic energy. Plans are going to get shifted and changed. 2, I tend to be pretty exhausted. I know that I'm really impacted by this energy, and so I rest a lot. I drink a lot of water. I am much more mindful about what I'm adding into my body, into my calendar, into my life during this time of year. Because there's just not, my threshold for kind of handling things is lower. And then looking around the world around us right now, there is a lot happening. There has been a lot happening for a long time. And the eclipses, I do think, are going to bring some of that to a head, potentially now, potentially in the coming months. We're going to have eclipses on the Aquarius Leo axis for several years. So what is being shaken loose tomorrow with the eclipse, we will be seeing the effects of that for several years to come. Okay, this particular eclipse is happening at the final degrees of Aquarius, which is a sign that's very much about not just who we are as individuals and what makes us unique and even kind of other, but how we fit into the collective, how we fit into the communal whole, how what we do impacts everybody around us. Aquarius is such an interesting sign because it's an air sign by energy, but it's represented by the water bearer. It's, like I said, it's this very kind of other energy. It's a little alien even, but it's always looking at how can it impact the collective. It's got this like renegade, rebellious spirit that wants us to find our inner rebel and then bring that rebelliousness to come together for the good of each of us, for the good of all of us as a whole. So it holds this tension, the air and the water tension. It holds the tension of being a rebel or a renegade and caring deeply about the communal good. It wants to buck traditions that don't serve us and have just a better future, a better vision for the future. That's Aquarius energy. So take a minute, think about where Aquarius is in your chart, the house that it occupies. This is the area in your life personally where you're going to be asked to bring some of this kind of renegade soul to life. The eclipse is going to shake something loose. It's not, like I said, not necessarily a bad thing. Eclipses impact us individually, they impact us as a community, as a whole, as a society. You individually are going to be impacted in a specific area in your life. So again, look to Aquarius in your chart, look to what house that's in. You can also look to where Saturn is in your chart because Saturn is deeply connected to Aquarius. So that is another area of your life that may be impacted with the eclipse. So where you have Aquarius and where you have Saturn. For me, I have Aquarius in my 5th house. So I'm expecting themes of like how and what I create to become more prominent in my life over the next few years. And especially how what I create sets me apart from others, but then also serves the whole. Those are themes that are going to come into sharper focus because, again, this is happening in Aquarius. And then there's 2 ways that I like to go a lot deeper with the astrology of this. One of those is through Sabian symbols, and one of those is through gene keys. And we'll talk a little bit about those. I'm not going to go into great detail, but if you are looking for like, how do I go deeper about where this is hitting in my chart? These are really good ways. So Sabian symbols are visual representations of each of the degrees of the zodiac sign. They're really cool. You can literally Google the Sabian symbol for my sun is at 2 degrees and I think 45 minutes of Aquarius. So you're always going to go up to the next degree when you're looking for the symbol. The Sabian symbol for 3 degrees of Aquarius is going to give me a more nuanced amount of information about my sun sign than I can get by simply knowing that it's in the sign of Aquarius. So the eclipse is happening at 28 degrees and 49 minutes of Aquarius. So we're going to look at the Sabian symbol for 29 Aquarius, which is such a cool symbol. It is the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis. Y'all, this is divine cosmic symbology that brings everything that we've been talking about and everything that we've been living into for the past few years so beautifully into this one powerful, monumental symbol for this moment in our lives. This is something where we are wrapping up what has been the year of the snake. We've been shedding layers of conformity, shedding layers of conditioning that no longer serve us. We've been uncovering our true selves, waking up to who we want to be. And now we have this eclipse going, you can't go back. You can't go back. What has been is no longer, and what will be in your life is only just emerging. Who you were even a few years ago is not who you are today, not because you've become somebody completely different, but you've stepped more deeply and more fully into your true self. You have alchemized, you have transformed. That is the symbol of this eclipse. You're taking the next steps of what will be the remainder of your life. Not completely new, but as fully true to who you were born to be. This is what we mean by becoming. When I talk about becoming, it's finding who you are at your core and living out as that person. We all have that. We all were born with that. And we have lived in a society that has conditioned us over and over and over again that we matter based on how well we fit in with everybody around us. We matter based on how well we can meet the expectations of others. And the energy that we are moving into going forward is one that says, I matter because of what makes me uniquely me, what makes me other, even something that we have been taught our entire lives to try not to be othered. Who we are as an individual matters now more than it ever has been. And this is the crux of the North Node and South Node being in Aquarius and Leo. With this eclipse really beginning it is the individual has to be able to fit within the community in a new way, not by conforming, but by serving. That's the water bearer, right? Aquarius, the water bearer, pouring out life for everybody, not, the shadow side of Leo is this attention seeking. That's kind of the stereotype of Leo. I really don't like using this very much, but it is a stereotype for a reason, right? That's the shadow side. It's me, me, me. What's in it for me? What's good for me? With no regard to those around us. This new set of eclipses that we're heading into this year is saying, no, we are shaking that up. Yes, you need to think about you. Yes, you need to know deeply who you are, and you need to use that to serve the community, to serve those around you, to pour out life and to eschew these values of conforming and keeping others comfortable by meeting their expectations. That's going out the window. It's not going to go away easily. We're seeing those in power hold and cling very, very, very tightly to that set of values. And we are being given the opportunity to say, we want a world with a new set of values. We want a world that, yes, values the individual and values how we can contribute uniquely to those around us. This is what we are becoming. During this eclipse season, if you've been working with lunar phases, you know that new moons are our time of setting intentions. Those who talk about manifesting like to talk about doing that during the new moon, right? This is when we're setting seeds. But when there's an eclipse, this is not the time to be trying to call in something ultra specific. This is the time for kind of allowing your soil to, right? If we're talking about planting seeds, let's go with the gardening metaphor. Allowing your soil to get dug up, mixed up, so that the nutrients that have been down at the bottom can come to the top, so that the oxygen and the water at the top can be brought to the bottom, right? We're mixing things up a little bit. Yes, some seeds can be planted now, and we have to know that this is not, like I said, not the time for ultra specific intentions, because the energy is a little bit chaotic. So planting seeds of freedom, of becoming, of really allowing for that final shedding of any layers that you still are holding on to or that are holding on to you. This is a time to go, no, I really am becoming this being who no longer crawls along the earth, but is now ready to fly, who can see new visions of the future, right? You get a completely different perspective of life from up high than you do when you're down below. In order to do that, you have to recognize yourself as you are. Call it the scales falling from your eyes, removing any of that last dead skin, letting the sun dry out the chrysalis juice, gross, whatever. Just know that you have to see you. The days of other people telling you who you are or who you should be are over. That is something that this eclipse is shaking up for all of us. That is something that is getting left behind. We can no longer be defined by how well we conform to the expectations of others. We have to start defining who we are for ourselves. That's part of becoming. And it's hard. It's hard, right? Because it requires us to unlearn. But these things that we've been doing, astrology, reading our birth charts, reading oracle cards and tarot cards, exploring crystals, herbs, ancient traditions, whatever spiritual practices have you've been digging into, all of that is helping you discover who you are at your core. It's helping you learn to hear and listen to your intuition, to your own knowing, so that you can define who you are. This week, this is what I want you to focus your energy on, not trying to call in something super specific through manifestation, but really digging into who are you? Who is your most true self? Who are you becoming? Journal that, pull oracle cards, dance, collage, whatever you do to process that question. Who are you becoming? And if that feels too big, break it down. Right? I love oracle cards for this. You could pull 3 cards. Tell me about myself, who I have been, who I am now, and who I am becoming. And take time to reflect on what comes up. This is such a powerful set of questions because it helps you see what you may not have been able to see just thinking about it in your mind. Oracle cards help you tap into your intuitive knowing. I'm always going to come back to your sun, moon, and rising signs. Look at those again. Those are the keys that are going to help you return over and over to be able to answer that question. What does your sun sign say about how you're meant to shine? What does your moon say about your needs? Your needs for safety, for security, for success. Your rising sign is going to reveal the lens that you look at the world through, the type of questions that you're going to ask, right? Those are going to be determined by your rising sign, by what you value. That's how you process information that's coming up. While I don't want to define that for you, and I really do think this is something you're going to have to define for yourself, it can be helpful to talk to somebody else about that. Whether that's oracle cards, tarot, astrology, just having the conversation. I do mini readings. They're so beautiful for this because they really help us focus in on just those 3, your sun, moon, and rising. We can look at cards together. What do they say about who you're becoming? I talk with women on a near daily basis who, they'll describe this process of how they've been growing, what's been changing, what they're waking up to. And then when we look at their chart, without fail, if they've already started this journey, their chart reflects back to them what they've intuitively known about themselves, how they're intuitively growing. And it gives this permission and this freedom to go, oh, I'm on the right path. I'm pursuing the right things. And sometimes it helps us see, hey, yeah, that is true. And here's an area where maybe a little more alignment could really help. For me, I always like to try to bring this back to something practical. And everything that's going on right now is very, it's easy to get stuck in the kind of headiness of it. But we'll go back to, we know that this eclipse is happening in Aquarius. For me, that's my 5th house. That's my house of creativity and creation. And a lot of my creativity comes out through the work that I do with Most True You. And so this looks like, I know this year, part of my becoming is stepping more fully into my role as a speaker and facilitator. But it's got to be on my terms, right? My message isn't one that professional conferences are going, hey, we would love to do a whole conference for HR leaders that involves astrology. I am introducing something to the professional world that not everybody's comfortable with yet. And so I have to define that for myself. I have to be able to say, okay, I can show you firsthand why it matters that you know your purpose, your needs, and your gifts. And then that you know the purpose, needs, and gifts of the people that you work with. And then, hey, if you want to go deeper into that, astrology is the tool that I use for it. This is something that has been personally very scary because, again, no one is coming to me saying, hey, Kelly, can you please bring astrology to professional conferences? And I know that's what I want to do. That is part of my purpose with my son being an Aquarius, right? It's visioning something that doesn't exist yet for the future. And then now my rising in Libra, bridging that gap between what is, what people are comfortable with, what they understand, and the vision that I'm casting for the future. That's who I'm becoming. It's someone who can create a bridge, somebody who can blaze a new trail. And it's that acceptance of that and going, yeah, that's scary. That's not something that someone else has defined for me. And then just trying to figure out what's the next step in this. For you, it's going to be totally different. Your thing that you need to accept is going to be different. But I think you already have a good sense of what that is. And again, it can be incredibly helpful to talk with somebody else about that. I would be so honored if you wanted to talk with me about that, if you wanted to look at your chart together or look at some cards together to see what can we draw from that's already within you and bring it to the surface. Y'all, this eclipse is going to shake loose the pieces that have felt foggy or confusing. It is going to be a time to release the old patterns and the old conditioning that doesn't serve you anymore. That's on a personal level. On a larger, broader scale, one, I don't have time to go into all of that without making this an hour-long conversation. Two, there are some other astrologers who are doing this really well, and I don't feel the need to reinvent the wheel. So two other people who I think you will really benefit from listening to over the coming weeks are April Elliott Kent. She has the Big Sky Astrology podcast. And then Chani Nicholas. She has the Chani app. She has the Chani podcast. One thing I love with the Chani app is you can get a personalized week ahead reading. So she'll kind of do the week ahead astrology report for everybody, but then how that plays into your chart based on your rising sign, right? So again, this whole thing about the eclipse hitting my 5th house, I know that because I know that my rising sign is in Libra. And so from there, we go over to the 5th house. And I think I'm actually looking right now, she's got a code. Let's see if it'll come up for me, where you can get a trial of the app for like 30 days. On the app, you can get a 30-day all-access pass to Chani Premium, which gives you access to a year ahead reading, that weekly reading, so many great resources. It's support 30. So the word support, all caps, and then 30, the number 30, 30. Just go to the Chani app. There's nothing like this. Obviously, this isn't an affiliate link or anything like that. I just really love the way that she breaks things down. So, Chani and then April Elliott Kent, both really fantastic resources on a week-to-week basis of what's going on astrologically. Those are two who I consistently listen to. There's lots of other great astrologers out there as well. But they make things really, in terms of understanding the movements in the sky, just the basics of what's happening, they make things really easy to understand. If you want to talk through this personally, again, I would love that. You can go to mosttrue.com/readings, and the mini reading would be the one where we just look at your sun, moon, and rising sign and talk through those. On Wednesday, I will release another episode where we talk about Aries, Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries. This is wild energy, y'all. This week, drink lots of water over the next 2 weeks, right? We're going into eclipses. Drink lots of water, rest, know that yes, the energy around us is chaotic. Changes are happening. Change is not easy for any of us. It can be scary. There is grief involved watching what is going on and how things are changing around us. There's hope when we think about being able to shape a different future. There is fear. Can we do that? There is fear of what change means in this moment. There's a lot happening, and I want you to give yourself the space to honor that. Okay, friends, this is a lot. It's a lot. And take it one day at a time, one moment at a time. Rest, reflect, drink water. So much love to you. Reach out with questions. hello@mosttrueyou.com. Schedule a reading, mosttrueyou.com/readings. And I will see you on Wednesday.